Hello everyone, this is a video I've been wanting to make for a while. As someone who's dealt with both sides, the anti-woke crowd and the anti-grifter crowd. All I can say is, after watching a lot of videos and gathering information on people like the Birdman, Ranting for Vengeance, the Spites of Antrim, and Antrim, I've come to one conclusion. Both sides are bad. Before I explain why, let me explain how I got here in the first place. This all started around 2019 when I first encountered the CW's Batgirl series. That was the first time I really heard the term woke. At the time, I didn't fully believe it since I was still a teenager, but curiosity made me dig deeper. Then I watched clips of the CW shows like Supergirl, where Supergirl is somehow stronger than Superman.
Didn't weaken me at all.
It might have.
No, I was at full strength and you beat me.
May I remind you, Superman is the same guy who managed to lift infinity book pages, if that makes sense, and Supergirl can only lift a fucking spacecraft. Iris West gets Barry Allen's powers and suddenly becomes better than him without training, which sounds very familiar if you ever heard of Rey Skywalker.
You never made your own tidal wave before.
No, I haven't.
You go, girl.
Then there was a lesbian character from Legends of Tomorrow, I don't remember her name, who actually slept with the Queen of France, who was supposed to give birth to a savior, and when her teammates call her out, her excuse was basically,
I knew I forgot something. The part where Rip tells us everything that we did wrong.
As in seducing the Queen of France just before she's supposed to conceive the country's greatest hope for the future?
She seduced me.
wow, what amazing writing. On top of that, the show constantly reminds the audience that there were gay characters and multiple lesbian characters, as if that alone counted as a character development. There was also moments where the same character tried to act morally superior when the Flash went back in time to save his mother, despite the fact that she herself had massively damaged the timeline before. The hypocrisy was insane.
You can't go back and just change things like that, Barry.
I know.
You know how hard it is for me to not alter events to bring my sister back? But I don't, because I know the implications.
Because of all of this, I slowly became anti-woke. I started watching channels like Yellow Flash and others for a while. I genuinely believed that side had a point. So why did I left the anti-woke side? Everything changed after Godzilla X Kong New Empire came out. I watched the movie and enjoyed it. It wasn't woke, and I was genuinely happy about that. Then I watched Despite of Antrim's video on it. The video and his fan base were the beginning of my awakening. Watching someone reach for outrage over nothing made me realize something was off. I won't go too deep into him here since I'm working on a separate remake video about Disposal of Antrim, but that was the first cracks. Now it's time for this guy, how do I pronounce his name? This was around the time where I leaned more towards the anti-grifter side until She-Hulk released. I was mixed at first, the reviews said it was bad, but I wanted to give it a fair chance. That's until I saw the clip where Jennifer lectures Bruce Banner about how she can control her anger better than him. Even after the disrespect, I was still willing to give the show a shot, until I click on Antrim's video.
You show the other scene where Jennifer tells Bruce that she's had experience controlling her anger and reactions to things because she's a woman and she just had to learn these skills naturally, whereas Bruce hasn't had to learn them naturally.
So I'm great at controlling my anger. I do it all the time.
People took the scene drastically out of context, framing it as Jen telling Bruce that, Bruce never had any problems, that Bruce never had a struggle, rather than seeing what the scene was saying at face value. That Jen, due to her life experience, just was better equipped at handling anger than Bruce was. Additionally, the scene reinforced that Jen, though she is in better control of her anger, is not as in control as she thinks she is, which would play into the show's finale.
Antrim's argument for the scene is that people missed the point. He claims she can control her anger, but at the end of the show, she does get angry. Okay, what does that have to do with the issue that people have with the character? That's not what the viewers were complaining about. They were complaining that she was very disrespectful towards Bruce. And I can see why some would say it feels sexist.
Well, here's the thing, Bruce. I'm great at controlling my anger. I do it all the time. When I'm catcalled in the street, when incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me, I do it pretty much every day, because if I don't, I will get called emotional or difficult, or I might just literally get murdered. So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
Jennifer in this scene is not only claiming she can control her anger, but she's also claiming she's been through a worse hell than Bruce has. As someone who can relate to Bruce Banner and his struggles with anger myself, that's a low fucking blow. Bruce doesn't have the military against him in some continuities. He also has to deal with entities and people who see both the Hulk and Bruce as monsters. How is catcalling somehow worse than what Bruce Banner is going through?
Wild about all this is that these are traits that were already inherent to She-Hulk. She-Hulk could always control her emotions. She-Hulk would always be analyzing and kind of being tongue-in-cheek about sexism in the comic industry, poking fun of it while also embracing it. This is all in line with the She-Hulk character so far. The show just brought that to the forefront, and people took something that was old in the 70s, that they were seeing for the first time in the 2010s or 2020s, I guess, and running with that as though it was some woke agenda thing, even though it's the same stuff during the John Byrne run of She-Hulk.
Hey Greenies, Future Kyoji here. Wow, just adapting from the comics, huh? That's not what the writer said, along with the same writer who wrote She-Hulk. Roll it.
It was not very steeped in the comics.
I didn't read any comics or do any research.
I wasn't familiar with the comics. I wasn't familiar with the movies.
We didn't lean into a whole lot of the history of the comic books.
Yeah, candidly, we were not enormous comic fans.
I wasn't super into superhero comics when I was a kid. I read a lot of like indie press stuff.
First thing I was told is don't read the comics.
Really?
As a creator, they put you in a bubble. They don't let you talk about any of the other projects, right?
You know, they're up for anything.
We ultimately decided to redefine it for the series and thought that it worked better for the story that we're trying to tell.
Did you ever read you haven't read the comic?
When the DVD comes out, I'm going to read a Thor comic book and just see where we went wrong.
So yeah, adapting from the comics my ass. Anyways, on with the video. Anthony Gramella claims that they are just adapting the comics onto the screens. I'm gonna be completely honest here, I haven't read the She-Hulk comics, and I highly doubt Anthony has read them either. But using logic, the scene doesn't even make any sense, because a lot of Marvel fans who love She-Hulk from the comics think the writers did something wrong in the show. Marvel fans love the comic She-Hulk, but hate the MCU She-Hulk. That means one of these versions is not right, and we all know which one it is.
You don't see them go, hey, wasn't it terrible when Daredevil did the walk of shame from She-Hulk's place with a big old grin on his face? Or, oh, She-Hulk addressed the dichotomy of how people see someone with a public persona versus their private persona, as we see when the guys go out with She-Hulk, have a night of fun, and then uncomfortably leave when they see Jennifer come out of the bedroom. They treat her like garbage, but they treat her public persona like a goddess. That dichotomy is very interesting.
Like I said earlier, I haven't seen the show, nor will I after that fucking clip. From what I can gather from the sources I trust who watch the show, most of the events he mentions happen because She-Hulk let them happen, due to her ignorance and her terrible behavior. That goes to show how good the writing is, if that's true. Then again, I'll never know, because I don't want to watch a character who talks shit to someone who was just simply trying to help him out.
Heck, if you want to talk about the woke agenda, She-Hulk is one of the first Marvel properties to have a trans actress on screen, and not a single reactionary seemed to notice. That is, except for the pronouns guy, who had this reaction.
And the bride's got a nice rack. That's what I got from this episode.
Just flew over their heads, didn't pick up on it.
And the woman that they actually had playing the girl that was getting married, she's actually trans. And I don't know if people knew that.
She had a nice rack.
Okay, I'll give Anthony this. That was funny, what happened to Humpty Dumpty over there. But to answer your question, it's literally because that actress has nothing to do with the show. She's just a paid actress. That's it. The main issue people have with the show is how poorly written She-Hulk is as a character. That being said, my frustration with him goes beyond just this clip. I already have personal issues with him for propping up generally awful people.
How ironic. The moment I mentioned that, guess who's in this fucking video? No, I want you guys to guess while I'm trying to look for her. Guess who's in this fucking video? I just saw her. Hold on, let me get her. There she is. There's the bitch. There's the bitch. What the fuck was I talking about? He's promoting these fucking awful ass people. Oh my gosh.
I suggest you watch these 3 videos for the context I'm talking about. But what pushed me over the edge was him defending that scene. Defending Jennifer, treating Bruce like he was some annoying pest when he was simply trying to help her. At this point, it's clear he's just trying to defend a show nobody likes. But that's not even what grabbed my attention next. The Birdman did. If Anthony didn't pull me away, the Birdman definitely did. At first, I agree with some of his points until he released a video attacking people over the Minecraft movie, calling out a critical jinker, and labeling critics of Ironheart as racist.
Stop allowing these motherfuckers to claim they are not racist. Nerderotic, aka Gary Beekler, is a racist. Jeremy Griggs is a racist. Will Jordan is a racist. These people and their orbiters exemplify everything this series is meant to combat. Farming and harvesting outrage, whining about women in basically any piece of media they appear in, pretending they are fans or former fans of the things they incessantly cry about. And racism. But the pussy kind of racism that the KKK employ. You know, hiding under bed sheets so they can live their lives in peace during the day while terrorizing black people at night. That's what these people do, only they've modernized the Klan tactics, hiding their racism behind hilariously weak media critiques that could have come from a Cracker Jack box.
That's when things got ridiculous. These were clearly jokes, not racism. I wasn't fully convinced until I watched Kano Flex videos breaking things down. Let me be very clear here. I do not support Kano's actions behind the scenes. I do not support what he did with SK or anyone else. I only agree with some of his points that he made, not his behavior. Kino points out patterns in Birdman's behavior, especially how casually he throws around accusations of racism with zero evidence. That was the final straw for me. Along with shitty points like this,
Deck in the film is trying to earn his place in his clan while also honoring his brother in the process, and to do that, he needs to bring back a trophy. If he succeeds, he would presumably be taken on a xenomorph hunt and become blooded.
When he said that, I knew he was pulling sources from the comics and novels, which far as I know, are not canon to the newer Predator films. Before anyone says this in my comments section, yes, we are getting a new Alien vs. Predator movie, but we have no idea whether it's connected to the Romulus universe, the Prey universe, both, or if it's a continuation from the continuity from the previous films. Having said that, let's talk about an actual racist. Ranting for Vengeance. What can I really say about this guy that hasn't been said already? Honestly, I kind of suggest you watch these few videos breaking him down because they explain how unhinged his behavior is far better than I ever could. That said, I don't like Ranting for Vengeance because he's one of the clearest examples of someone abusing the word woke to push narratives that 1. Never actually happened in the movies, comics, or TV shows. 2. Relying on hating designs, film, shows, and comics without presenting real arguments or solid reasoning. At this point, it's not criticisms, it's just noises. Not to mention, he somehow went from looking like a dressed-up gentleman to someone who looks like they had a very rough night. Overall, I don't like the guy or his content. It's shallow, misleading, and more focused on outrage than actual critiques. So what are my final thoughts? At the end of the day, I don't like any of these people. It's painfully obvious that most of them are just farming outrage for clicks, whether it's everything woke or everyone criticizing this as a racist. Neither side is actually judging media for what it is. These so-called anti-woke creators, like the Spike of Entrance and Ranting for Vengeance, do not care whether a movie is actually good or bad. He and others like him are only making these videos for views and outrage clicks. I know this because his content is nothing but constant woke panic. As someone who actually watched Predator Badlands, the claim that the movie is woke is simply not true. I originally joined the anti-woke side because I saw what I believe was real evidence of companies forcing political ideas onto the audience. This often came in the forms of creators constantly pointing out how many LGBTQ characters were on screen, heavy-handed discussions of feminism, or poorly written attempts at diversity that felt like more of a checkbox than genius representation. Over time, the conversation stopped being about writing quality and storytelling and turned into obsessively counting minorities. Anytime there was a female character, she was immediately labeled as a Mary Sue, even when that was clearly not the case. Instead of judging the character based on how they were written, everything was filtered through ideology first. The shift made me realize that this side wasn't actually interested in honest criticism, either just the opposite extreme of the same problem. But just like there's one extreme, there's another that is just as bad, only on the opposite side. That is where the anti-grifter comes in. People like Anthony Gormilla, who will bend over backwards to defend badly written characters like the now dead MCU She-Hulk. When people call him out, he does not fully engage with the criticism and instead brushes it off rather than addressing the points being made.
But oh, there's a half hour more of the video to watch. Well, good luck with that, because I don't care. I just don't. He wasted my time enough with the first hour of this video. Why should I care enough about the last half to go through line by line like I did before? He is a time waster, and I have wasted enough time looking at his nonsense.
And then there is the Birdman, who takes it even further by attacking anyone who makes legit criticism of poorly written characters like Ironheart, immediately labeling them as racist or malicious instead of actual engagement with the arguments. At the end of the day, both sides are the same. They do not care about writing quality, storytelling, or honest discussions. They care about picking a side, pushing narratives, and staying relevant. I already know after this video, I'll have both sides coming after me, but that's fine. I've been stuck in the middle for the longest time, and after actually looking at both sides, honestly, I realized something. Both the anti-woke crowd and the anti-grifter crowds are bad for actual media criticism. So what does this mean? That both sides are bad and we can't do anything about it? No, that's not the case at all. You can do something. Watch movies, TV shows, and series for yourself. Form your own opinions about medias you enjoy. If you start seeing nonsense coming from either side, call it out. That's exactly what I'm doing with Antrim's video. Show the people that these creators do not care about media, movie, or storytelling. They only care about views, outrage, and attention, and the best way to deal with it is to simply don't give it to them. Also, if you're a serious reviewer trying to prove a point, please bring actual evidence. Joking aside, it really matters. So, where do I stand on this whole conflict? Honestly, I'm somewhere in the middle. I do believe there are some movies that aren't woke, and there are movies that are, but for me, if you're going to call something woke, you need to actually prove it. That means showing how an entire film breaks or bends its story just to push an ideology. A good example of this is how the CW constantly pushes certain ideas, especially how it's framed feminism, often reducing it to the shallow or degenerate behavior, instead of meaningful character writing. Now, what about movies that aren't fully woke but still include woke elements? Things like characters suddenly acting out characters just to check a box, or forcing relationship with no build-up, for example, the sudden bi reveal, or inserting lesbian relationship without proper development. That's not good representation, that's forced diversity. And forced diversity should still be called out because it doesn't help the story. All it does is weakening characters consistently and pull viewers out the narrative. And the more I think about it, these people only exist to prevent actual criticism. If you say that X or Y movie is bad, they're gonna go after you just because you have an opinion about a movie, show, etc. Don't get me wrong, there's always gonna be bad criticism. But these guys use bad criticism to promote the idea that bad shows and movies are somehow hidden gems when they are not. I hope you guys enjoy my yapping about bullshit that's going on. I really want to talk about my thoughts and opinions on this. But if you guys have any opinions, let me know. Also, if there's fans try to defend them or have a meltdown over me calling out the people mentioned in this video, your comment will be deleted and you will be muted if you continue. I only want criticism and thoughtful opinions from others. Anyways, this is Kyoji the Green Kaijin. I'll see you guys later.